it a challenge, it's nothing to me. Make it look easy, it's hard to believe.
How's it going, guys? Coach Thomas here, founder and inventor of the Freebell. You're probably here for one of three reasons. Either you just stumbled across this page and wanted to see what the Freebell is all about. You might have just bought a few Freebells for yourself and you're looking at how to get into moving with the Freebell and kind of like a resource on how to get started. Or you might be a coach that's looking to see how this can benefit some of your athletes. I've been a strength and speed coach for over 20 years, involved in Olympic weightlifting for over 15. So when I created the Freebell, I was really looking to fill a gap that I felt like was needed in the fitness world. And that gap was athleticism. I saw a huge gap between training work capacity and then maintaining some of those athletic abilities that we tend to lose as we get out of youth sports and we get older. Things like stability, control, joint integrity when we're under load and in motion. Things like agility, adaptability, reacting in these unpredictable situations, which I truly believe are a huge aspect to longevity within our training process. So let me just share a little bit about the Freebell and how it can possibly fit into your program and your fitness journey. So this is the Freebell. As you can see, we offer a wide variety of sizes. Right now, 2 kilo to 32 kilo. We're doing bigger jumps and more sizes in between all the time, but this is kind of our full set. The Freebell is offset load, so you can see a majority of that load is at the bottom, right? Just enough to give it a slight instability, but still give us the ability to do all of our dynamic swings and motions that you might like to do with the kettlebell. It's bilateral, just like you would see on something like a dumbbell. That opens it up to all the dumbbell positions that you would like to do. But really the magic is the rotating handle, right? The rotating handle allows us to flow through a lot of these different positions, and it also gives us that little bit of slight instability to kind of bring in some of those things I was talking about earlier. That coordination, that stability, the timing, the reactability, all of those things that I feel like are personally missing out of a lot of people's fitness programs. The Freebell's made out of powder-coated ductile iron sides. These are super strong, super resilient. We have a rotating handle on a steel center handle, secured by a grade 12 bolt from the top, and then a reinforced C-clip from the side to make sure this is really safe to use for everyone. Really low maintenance. The only thing you might have to do years down the road is remove this top bolt and that C-clip, clean out the inside of the handle, maybe a little bit of grease to make sure this is spinning freely for years to come. Now let's get into how to use your Freebell once it arrives for you, or if you're a coach, on how to utilize it with your clients. So if we look at even some of the simple bodybuilding movements, the Freebell is great. It requires the athlete to stay locked into proper positions, gives them a little bit of feedback if they get out of positions, or possibly if they're moving at a pace that might be dangerous. It controls tempo and stability and everything. If you think about like pressing or curls or flies or lateral raises, that dynamic feedback that we get from the Freebell will ensure that your clients are moving at a safe rate and they're moving in proper positions. It's as simple as this. Like if I was to have an athlete do a curl to press with the Freebell, I'm wanting them to maintain control and keep that bell down in line with my forearm. If they were to get too erratic, you can see that the Freebell gives that feedback to where it'll say like, I need to slow down, I need to control that motion the entire time. So when you're first getting into the Freebell, really the goal is to try to keep the bell as stable as possible. Really, I use making sure that the bell does not get out of alignment with my forearm. So if I'm here, a little bit of movement's fine. That really gives us that stability that we're looking for. But if it gets out of the alignment of the forearm, that's when the client or yourself needs to slow down, control your tempo, and get in proper positions. That way you're making sure that you're in a safe position throughout the entire motion of your exercise. Now let's go into a few exercises to get you started. So I'm gonna focus on somebody if they're maybe at a home gym and all they have is a couple Freebells. So one of my favorite positions for people starting out is the goblet position. So if we just set that Freebell up on its end, right, with the offset load pointing towards myself, towards the athlete, that puts us in a great position to get into our goblet. You'll grab the top plate from the side and you'll pull up to the chest position. This goblet position is great. I can lock in on this groove and I can also use the bottom groove to lock my forearms in. That will ensure that the weight stays tight to the body, right? Once I'm in the goblet position, I can perform all of my squats, lunges, and a majority of our lower body exercises. The last two things I really want to cover is how to safely get the Freebell in the front rack position and in the overhead position. There's a couple different ways, but first I want to show you the front rack position. So we're just going to do what is called like a power clean or muscle clean, where we go from the ground to the front rack. Now we want the Freebell to be in alignment with my body. I just call this a neutral position, right? Instead of as opposed to a forward facing, where we'll turn it for the snatch later on. So if I'm in here, I'm gonna pull close to the body, and then I'm gonna end up in what was called a front rack position, similar to the finish of a curl. If you would think about a front rack being palms up with like a barbell, this is gonna be palms down, okay? The goal is really to keep this really close to your body. So I'm gonna go down, utilizing my legs in more of a squat position here, and I'm just gonna pull directly up to that front rack. From here, you can go into your pressing exercises. You can go into any of your front rack squats. So from here, I can go to my overhead position for other overhead movements, right? Or I can just use that as a press and then safely get that to the ground. It's a great position. It keeps the weight really close to your shoulder and a really safe position for, like I said, all of our lower body and upper body exercises. The other way, and one of people's favorite exercises to do with the Freebell, is a snatch. Now the snatch is a little bit more of a complex movement. I would wait till you're a little bit more comfortable with the Freebell before doing something like a snatch. And I would also lower the weight from what you typically do with a different single arm implement like a dumbbell or kettlebell. So if you normally use like a 16 kettlebell for like your beginner sets, I would drop down to the 12. Same thing. If you're a 12, drop down to the 8, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we're gonna go to a forward-facing position with the Freebell. Now with the Freebell, it really requires you some of those athletic components, right? I have to be coordinated in the position, right? I have to have correct timing of when I receive it. I also have to stabilize once I finish the position. So I'm gonna be in this forward facing, same goal as before. I'm trying to keep that bell down and stable throughout the entire exercise. If it begins to get a little swing and become unstable, it's probably because I had an error in one of the movements that I'm doing. That way, an athlete can make a correction immediately and avoid having incorrect repetitions that might lead to an injury later on. So every single rep you do with the Freebell is feedback on your movement. So we're gonna go from the bottom position. As you can see, I go right up the body to that snatch. And you can see very, very little movement in the bell up top. That's because I kept it really close. I had a straight pull. I had the correct timing and coordination of when I received it overhead, and I was locked in and stable when I received it, right? If I was to, let's say, pull away from my body, you can see a little swing. If I over pulled it, you can see a little bit of swing. Those are all corrections that we can make along the way as you get better at these movements and you increase weights. I hope some of this helps. I have a full exercise library on the YouTube page. Please feel free to go through those exercises. And if you have any questions on the Freebell as it is, the weight, how to move it, programming, please do not hesitate to contact me through Instagram, through the website, through the email. I'd be happy to talk to any of you guys and answer any of the questions that you have.